Yes, we're all very excited. That is, with the exception of Bobby, who's very unhappy when we finally leave the homestead to commence our long journey. We've been looking forward to this adventure for months, and it's good to be on our way. The map shows you the journey we intend to make. After reaching Alice Springs, our objectives will be the oasis of Palm Valley and the spectacular geological wonder Stanley Chasm. After leaving Adelaide, we set up our first camp at Port Augusta, where we discuss the proposed route, whilst Mal, the artist of the party, starts the series of sketches she will be making on the trip. Australians in the big cities seldom realize how important Port Augusta is to the economy of several states. At the tip of Spencer's Gulf, it handles a tremendous quantity of meat and wool from the many big stations stretching into the Northern Territory and Queensland. This is low rainfall country, subject to recurring drought, but we are fortunate to be seeing it at its best after a good season, and the wildflowers are out in their profusion. There's no doubt that our Land Rover is the job for this outback country. With its high clearance, we're not worrying about the gibber stones or the possibility of a smashed crankcase. Arriving at Kingunya on the Transcontinental Railroad, a modern diesel-electric locomotive is just about ready to leave, drawing rail tankers of water for the series of rail stations across the Nullarbor Plains. We are able to get some tips about the state of the roads to the opal fields and are soon on our way again. The attractive blue bush is in bloom, and with the salt bush, it makes good feed for livestock when the grass is completely dried off. The native plants of this region have amazing powers of regeneration, seeds remaining viable sometimes for years during a long period of drought, to come to life immediately with the falling of an inch or two of rain. We arrive at the Kubapidi opal fields, and we've traveled nearly 400 miles since leaving Port Augusta. This is a strange community where families live underground in dugouts, whilst at the same time they may be earning £2,000 or £3,000 a year. Several good strikes have brought some lucky miners £10,000 for a year's work. Less spectacular than gold or diamond mining perhaps, but big business for those who are prepared to forego the amenities of the cities and towns. Some of the gems were chipped out of the stone in our presence, and we are presented with an interesting collection of opal stones and chips. The opal field merges into the landscape, the nearby scrub sheltering a group of kangaroos. These are shy creatures, and we're unable to get near enough for any good close-ups. The soil brought up to the surface by the ants is deep red and rich in plant nutrient. How we wish we could spread 6 inches of this wonderful soil over our property in the Mallee. Given water, this red soil of the center will grow anything. When sub-artesian water can be brought to the surface, this is wonderful country for livestock in good seasons. But it's all or nothing country, and always a gamble. The people of the stations we visit are always hospitable and always ready with a cup of tea when we drop in out of the blue. In these parts, there is a spirit of comradeship which no longer exists in the big cities. Camels are still used on this station, but motor transport has superseded the big Afghan camel trains of the past, and few of these unfriendly beasts now remain. This fellow has a habit of going walkabout, but a short hobble restricts him when he gets the wanderlust. Cattle raising is a big industry in these parts, and good seasons bring great prosperity. But each season there is always the possibility that little or no rain will fall, and starvation is always a spectre to haunt the animals being raised here. These cattle are being driven in from an outlying corner of the property, which covers 5,000 square miles and carries 5,000 head of cattle. The newly born calves are carried on the drover's truck so that the mothers can keep up with the mob. Mother is not very pleased about the arrangement and bellows her protest. Water from the sub-artesian table is raised by windmill and the precious water piped to a tank. But for the cattle in drought, starvation is the risk, not death from thirst. We pitch camp at the foot of a vast rocky outcrop. This is wonderful country for the geologist. With the discovery of uranium and other rare metals, who knows what the future may hold for this country? Nita is the most active explorer of the party, and she's soon on her way up the ragged slopes to see what she may find.